Good morning, everybody. Hi, Tom. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. Good
Okay.
morning, Lisa, Caroline, Dragana.
Everybody, we're looking. Happy June. I hope everybody's doing great this morning. Today's lesson 170. There is no cruelty in God and none in me.
Hi, everybody. We are trying to figure out the ins and outs of Lee's audio, and we will be in a moment all set for this. I'm sorry if I repeat the invitations. It's just that when the icons moves, then I don't remember who I sent it first
It's
or
all
no.
good.
So I'm sorry.
If you guys get multiple invites, just think of it as us loving you and wanting you so much. And I'm going to get started in about 1 minute. Let me just fix a couple of these little pictures on my screen and I'll be ready. And I got to shake the trees and get my dad to join us too, I guess. All right, with no further ado, here's lesson 170. There is no cruelty in God and none in me. No one attacks without intent to hurt. This idea that no one attacks without intent to hurt can have no exception. When you think that you attack in self-defense, you mean that to be cruel is protection. Protection. When you, when you think that you attack in self-defense, you mean that to be cruel is protection. You are safe because of cruelty. When you think that you attack in self-defense, you mean that you believe to hurt another. You mean that you believe that to hurt another brings you freedom. And when you think that you attack in self-defense, you mean that to attack is to exchange the state in which you are for something better, safer, more secure from dangerous invasion and fear. How thoroughly insane is the idea that to defend from fear is to attack. Oh, here's Papa. Hey, Papa. How thoroughly insane is the idea that to defend from fear is to attack. Here, in your attack, is fear begot and fed with blood to make fear grow and swell and rage. And thus by your attack is fear protected, not escaped. In fact, I'd go so far as to make it makes it seem like it's external to you, so you hold on to it even tighter. But that's just my words. For here in your attack is fear begot and fed with blood to make your fear grow and swell and rage. And thus by your attack is fear protected, not escaped. So today we learn a lesson which can save you more delay and needless misery than you can possibly imagine. The lesson is this: you make what you defend against, and by your own defense against it is what you made real and inescapable. Lay down your arms, and only then do you perceive what you would defend yourself against as false. It seems to be the external enemy without that you attack. Yet your defense sets up an enemy within your own mind, an alien thought at war with you, your big S self, your higher self, depriving you of peace, splitting your mind into two camps, which seem wholly irreconcilable. Love now has an enemy, an opposite, and fear, the alien, now needs your defense against the threat of what you thought, against the threat of what you really are, which is your higher self. If that wasn't clear, I'm just going to read it one more time. It's key thought here. We create an enemy for love, who we are in our own nature. Love now has an enemy, an opposite. And fear, the alien, now needs your defense against the threat of what you really are, which is your higher self, love incarnate. If you consider carefully the means by which your fancied self-defense proceeds on its imagined way, you will perceive the premises on which the idea of your self-defense stands. It's obvious. You believe ideas must leave their source because it's you who make attack and must have first conceived of an incoming attack. Yet you attack outside of yourself and separate your mind from the other party's mind, who is to be attacked, with perfect faith that the split you made within the one shared mind of God is real. Next are the attributes of love bestowed upon fear, love's enemy. For fear becomes your safety and your protector of your peace, to which you turn for solace and escape from doubts about your strength and hope of rest in dreamless quiet. As love is shorn of what belongs to love, and love alone, Love is endowed with attributes of fear. For love would ask that you lay down all defense as merely foolish. And your arms and weapons for defense indeed would crumble into dust. For such egoic defenses are foolish and useless. With love as enemy, must cruelty become a god. That's a little g god, right? And little g gods of revenge demand that those who worship them obey their dictates and refuse to question this egoic god of fear and cruelty. No, don't you look behind that curtain. Harsh punishment is melted out relentlessly to those who ask if the demands of fear are sensible or even sane. It's the enemies of the ego's god of fear who are unreasonable and insane, while they who defend themselves against their own fears by attack are always merciful and just. Today, we look upon this cruel God dispassionately. We note that though this cruel, egoic God of fear's lips are smeared with blood and fire seems to flame from him, this false God is but made of stone. This cruel God of fear can do nothing. We need not defy this false God's power. This cruel God of fear has none, and those who see in this imagined God of fear their safety have no guardian, have no strength to call upon in danger, and no mighty warrior to fight for them. This moment can be terrible, but the moment that you realize your egoic God of fear cannot protect you can also be the time of your release from abject slavery, your own slavery. You made a slave of yourself. You make a choice, standing before this idol of those who believe minds are separate and ideas can leave their source, and see him exactly as the false God of fear is. Will you restore to love what you have sought to wrest from love and lay before this mindless piece of stone? Or will you make another idol to replace the ego's God of cruelty and fear? For the God of cruelty takes many forms, and another form for this false God of your little s self can be found. For they abound in our little dream world, don't they? Yet do not think that fear is the escape from fear. Let us remember what the text has stressed about the obstacles to peace. The final obstacles to peace, the hardest to believe is nothing, and a seeming obstacle with the appearance of solid block impenetrable, fearful, and beyond surmounting is the fear of God himself. Here, in the fear of God himself, is the basic premise which enthrones the thought of fear as God. For fear is loved by those who worship the gods of fear, and they want you to join them. Love appears to be invested now with cruelty. Where does the totally insane belief in gods of vengeance come from? Love has not confused love's attributes with those of fear. Yet must the worshippers of fear perceive their own confusion about what love is in fear's enemy, which is real love. Fear's cruelty as now misperceived to be a part of love. Fear's cruelty as now misperceived to be a part of love because of the ego's confusion about what true love is, a God of only love has been imagined to possess the attributes of fear and now has been transformed by the ego into a God of vengeance And what becomes more fearful than the heart of love itself? The blood appears to be upon the egoic version of God of love's lips. The fire comes from this imagined egoic God of vengeance. And this God of love, imagined by the ego to be a God of vengeance, is terrible above all else, cruel beyond conception, striking down all who acknowledge him to be their God. The choice you make today is certain, for you will look for the last time upon this bit of carven stone you made, and no longer call upon your ego's beliefs in a God of vengeance and fear. You have reached this place before, but you've chosen that this cruel God your ego fears remain with you, still in another form. And so the fear of God returned with you. This time you leave the fear of God there, behind you, and you would return to a new world, unburdened by fear's weight, beheld not in fear's sightless eyes, but in the Christ vision that your choice restored to you. It's all at hand. Now, dear eyes belong to Christ, and Christ, your higher self, looks through them. Now, your voice belongs to God and echoes the Holy Spirit's voice, and now your heart remains at peace forever. You have chosen the true God of only love in place of idols for fear, and your attributes of being only love, given by your Creator, are restored to you at last. The call for God is heard and answered. Now has fear made way for love, as God himself replaces cruelty. In prayer, let's say this together. Father, we are like you. No cruelty abides in us, for there is none in you. Your peace is our peace. And we bless the world with what we have received from you alone. We choose again and make our choice for all our brothers. Knowing they are one with us, we bring to all of our brothers your salvation, as we have received salvation now. And we give thanks for all of our brothers who render us complete. In all our brothers we see your glory, and in them we find our peace. Holy are we, because your holiness has set us free, and we give thanks. Can I get an amen? Thank you, everybody, for staying with me through this lesson. I appreciate it.
And we're all holy.
We are
Amen,
all
brother.
holy. We've got our belly buttons, don't we, people? my son, Dean, I taught him how we're all holy, and I point to his belly button. He just showed it to me. Good morning, Afnan. It's so wonderful to see you. All right, that's the lesson. I'm ready for the notes to lesson 170, and then we'll have a meditation. We'll bring this teaching down deep. This is a key part. Here we are. It's lesson 170. Review number 5 starts tomorrow as we head our way towards 200. And this is like a fulcrum for the year to me as we go 10 steps into 180, and then we go from 180 through the rest, because the rest is a new section. So, Papa, how are you, sir? Having a great Father's Day so far?
Doing great, doing great.
Wonderful.
Couldn't be
Fantastic.
better.
It's true. That's true. We couldn't be better. We're already perfect. Isn't that wonderful? There is no cruelty in God and none in me. Here come the notes to lesson 170. Lesson 170 is a critical lesson because it points out a fundamental flaw in our ego's belief system. The ego claims that because you are limited, unequal, and separate, it is necessary to attack another in order to obtain the limited resources that you need for your survival. Because the ego does not know who you really are, it perceives self-defense as a means to protect yourself from outside forces that can rob you of your inner peace. Your ego does not associate with your own self-defense as an attack against another. It proclaims your defenses are justifiable and are not designed to harm another. Yet we've often heard that the best defense is a good offense. A preemptive strike against a potential enemy is perceived as justifiable and even righteous. The preemptive strikes. You always attack with the intent to harm. This is true even when we claim we're attacking in self-defense. When you defend against yourself, you're claiming that your protection is dependent on cruelty. Your ego has taught us that your ability to harm another protects you and brings your freedom and alleviates your fears. It does not. Instead, your defenses only make what you fear appear real. Attack is based on two erroneous egoic beliefs. The first is the belief that ideas leave their source, and therefore there's something outside your own mind that is separate and could be attacked. This also means there are separate outside forces that can attack you. The second idea is that love has an opposite. Because the ego does not know what love is, your ego confuses attributes that are associated with fear and believes they are a part of love. The ego claims that love would require the giver of love to protect the object of its love from love's opposite, which masquerades as various forms of fear. Egoic love insists that if you loved me, you would attack and destroy my perceived enemies, right? Anybody outside the family. Egoic love demands love contain an element of cruelty. Love, how sad is that upside down thought? In the name of love becomes a cornerstone of the ego's fear-based
Lee, we'd have
system.
to start over
Welcome,
that
Austin.
paragraph.
Sure. Oh, thank you for the feedback. I appreciate that. Okay, sure thing. This is super important, so I will read it one more time here. So we had the first idea, which was thoughts leave their source. That means you could be attacked by something outside of you. The second idea is that love has an opposite. It doesn't. Because the ego doesn't know what love really is, your ego confuses attributes that are associated with fear and believes they are part of love. The ego claims that love would require the giver of love to protect the object of its love from love's opposite, which masquerades as various forms of fear. Love egoic love insists that if you loved me, you would attack and destroy my perceived enemies. Egoic love demands that love contain an element of cruelty. Thus, your ability to harm another in the name of the system. God is on and love has no opposites. That Lee to pop out and pop back in. And there he is with his music. Thank you. Welcome back, other Lee. Thank you, Adriana.
Good morning.
There we go. Good morning. Hi, everybody. All right, I'm going to start on this important section again, see if I can't get through it without any network issues. Thank you for your patience, everybody.
Good morning, Linda.
I see my sister. Hi, sister. It's good to see you. I love you, Chi. Thank you for joining us. All righty. Here we
Good morning. I
go.
show up today to say happy Father's Day to my sweet father and everybody. His father out there.
Thanks, Linda. I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you, Father.
Thank
We
you
love
so
you too.
much, all my children.
We love you.
All right. I'm just going to back up a little bit and just reread these notes. I think it can't hurt. So here we go. There's no cruelty in God and none in me. Lesson 170 is a crucial lesson because it points out a fundamental flaw in our ego's belief system. The ego claims that because you are limited, unequal, and separate, it's necessary to attack another to obtain the limited resources that you need for your survival, because the ego does not know who you really are. It perceives self-defense as a means to protect yourself from outside forces that can rob you of your inner peace. Your ego does not associate your own self-defense as an attack against another. It proclaims your defenses are justifiable and are not designed to harm another. Yet, we have often heard that the best defense is a good offense. A preemptive strike against a potential enemy is perceived as justifiable and even righteous. You can always attack with the intent to harm. This is true even when we claim we are attacking in self-defense. When you defend yourself, you're claiming that your protection is dependent on cruelty. Your ego has taught us that your ability to harm another protects you and brings you freedom and alleviates your fears. It does not. Instead, your defenses only make what you fear appear real. Attack is based on two erroneous egoic beliefs. The first is the belief that ideas leave their source, and therefore there's something outside of your own mind that is separate and can be attacked. This also means that there are separate outside forces that can attack you. The second idea is that love has an opposite. Because the ego does not know what love is, your ego confuses attributes that are associated with fear and believes they are part of love. The ego claims that love would require the giver of love to protect the object of its love from love's opposite, which masquerades as various forms of fear. Egoic love insists that if you loved me, you would attack and destroy my perceived enemies. Egoic love demands that love contain an element of cruelty. Thus, your ability to harm another in the name of love becomes a cornerstone of the ego's fear-based thought system. God is only love and has no opposites. Since there is no fear in God, there is nothing we should fear from God. Yet because your ego thinks fear is real, it teaches that you can escape from fear through fear. Your ego instructs that to love someone is to defend and protect another from their fears. The ego instructs, I'm reading this sentence again. The ego instructs that to love someone is to defend and protect another from their fears. My God, what an upside down world we've made for ourselves. Egoic love becomes a guardian against fear. Yet if others can be harmed in the name of love, this confirms your ego's belief that you are not unlimited spirit, but instead limited, lacking, and separate. Egoic love proves you are vulnerable to forces that are beyond your control. Your ego looks to God for protection, but if God is to protect you, he must be cruel to your enemies. This results in the transformation of a God of unconditional love into an egoic God of judgment, punishment, cruelty, and wrath. The ego teaches that even if God loved you, you would still need to fear his judgment. What a brilliant solution, darling. Good job. When you follow the ego's fear-based thought system, your greatest fear is the fear of God himself. The ego has made fear a part of love. When we commingle love with fear, we get a disgusting cocktail. Ugh. When we commingle love with fear, we perceive the need to protect someone against something else. Something else. Love does not possess any attributes of fear. Yet when we assign the attribute of cruelty to love, this misclassification makes what we fear appear real. Sounds like false events appearing real. The Holy Spirit teaches that love has no opposites. It knows that ideas never leave their source, and therefore to give is to receive. When you make fear real, you split the one self into separate parts, 8 billion separate parts, and create a fictitious enemy where none existed. 8 billion fictitious enemies, or more, an infinite number of fictitious enemies, when there are really 0 enemies. Your ego claims there's an enemy outside your mind, whereas the truth is that actual enemies are the beliefs held by your ego, your imagined enemies. The ego does not believe that to give is to receive. The ego teaches that our fears protect and keep us safe from outside dangers. The ego claims that love defends and protects its loved ones. Therefore, if God loved you, God would protect you and attack your enemies. Thus, the God of love becomes a God of cruelty to your enemies. But this is a double-edged sword. If you don't obey God's will, God will punish you. This creates the final to your own peace, which is your belief that God is something you need to fear. Internet, so I can tell at least.
This can be said in so many ways, and I just I want all of us to remember the idea of giving extra time to think about this, because I guarantee you, every time you come back to this lesson in the future, you're going to see something new and deeper, because it's such a powerful lesson. Tom, I'd love to hear you say some stuff about this, because it's so good.
Well, I was just going to say
Thank
that,
you.
as a child, I was brought up a Catholic, and all the great religions of, there's the Western religions and the Eastern religions, but the religions of the West, uh, Islam, Judaism, Christianity, have a religious tradition and a mystical tradition. And if you look at all the great religions, they all have a mystical tradition, and all the mystical traditions all end up saying the same thing, that God is only unconditional love, and that God is love, and that's all that there really is. And it's our religions, the traditional religions, especially the ones of the West, that have placed this fear of God in us. And as a child, my upbringing, I know that I had that fear of God, and that prevented me. And it was only really through mystical uh, revelations that I was able to transform that. But uh, this is very important for us to make a choice as to what how we're going to define God. If we can move into the belief that God is only unconditional love, we really find the way our mind works that we get everything that we want. Pascal's wager says something like, if what you uh, desire, let me just get Pascal's wager so I can get it correct for you, because it's an important idea. It's a choice, but Pascal's wager says that, um, here it is. Okay, says the following: if you have nothing to lose and everything to win by believing, and nothing to win and everything to lose by not believing, then it makes sense to believe. And if you look at the two choices, which is a God of unconditional love or a God of fear, you'll realize that the God of fear offers you nothing that you want, and the God of love offers you everything, and it costs you nothing to believe that God is only love, and it costs you everything to believe that God is a God of fear. So if you look at Pascal's wager and you compare those two beliefs, it makes logical sense to choose for a God of unconditional love. And that's a choice that we make. It's something that we've been, especially if we're coming out of the West, not programmed to believe. This God of fear, even though they give lip service to the idea that God is love, when you think about it and you've got a judgmental God, you cannot come to the conclusion that uh, God is only love. So I would say make that choice, and you'll be amazed how your world can turn around. And that's a choice that you make. And as we get into psychology and we get into beliefs and we understand how the brain or the mind works, we realize that that one choice is the difference between being able to have inner peace or live in fear. Thank you.
Hi, Linda. Yeah, you can go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning, my dad. Good morning, everyone, and happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. I always listen to Adriana at first about father, and I would listen to Tom um, the whole time. I want to share something, and of course, my dad just mentioned about. Actually, today is a year that I met my father for the first time in my life. Um, I tried to put it together a little bit personal, and of course, is relate to the class today too. Um, I growing up in Vietnam, and I don't have a father, and of course, um, I never believed about. Not that I never, but I don't know anything to believe in God, which is I grow enough with no religion. And I don't know anything about Father, and I never believe anything about God. Of course, in my mind, I always want to know who is my Father. And I'm not the only child that don't have father. You know, it's actually almost 30,000 of Amerasian in Vietnam, and maybe 1% that time found their father. Now it's more, which the smart thing about DNA. And then when I came to US in 91, and I passed by a church, and there's something about it. And a few years later, I live in a community with most of the people here is very Christian, and they Catholic, and they believe in God. And I got into a church, and I took class, and I become Catholic in Easter of 94. And then the whole time, because I looking for my father, I don't have a father, and then I forgot about we do have father up there, a father with, everybody's. I mean, I tried to say that so you hope you guys understand me. We forgot about we have a big father, father on up, father who is we call God. And I guess because the reason I don't have my father, and that's why I don't truly believe it, and I didn't think about it, our father up there. So a year ago, with all the DNA go, and a year ago, when I really found my father, and give him a big hug, and I mean the longest hug that you ever see, I guess the video probably shared today because it's exactly 1 year on Facebook. And after I found my father, I touch him, I feel it, his heart breathing. Oh yeah, it's a real thing. And then after that, I have to say, thanks God for me to found my father. But because I found my father, and now I 100% believe there's God and He's our Father up there. Um, I now, I mean, I truly believe 100% prayer is the powerful. I've been praying so much about this, and God answered me. And I know that maybe God got mad at me sometime because He said, I'm your father, but you don't even know me, you know. But He helping me to find my biological father. And now I'm here, sitting here, talking in this miracle class. And I'm proud of, myself, proud with the word that I do have father, a biological father, bring me here, give me life, bring to this world. And God is our real father of everyone. But because I found my father, and then I more believe that we do have father up there. Thank you for listening, and happy Father's Day.
But it's a gift for everybody, Linda. It's beautiful what you just said. Thank you very much for joining us today. And let us remember that wonderful miracle that really came through both of you, Bob and Linda. I really want to just say that it's a gift for myself, and that the Father abides in you. And what he wants us and you to understand is that he is all around us because he is within ourselves. So I'm grateful that you have that experience in your life. It was quite a journey, I bet. And I'm just thankful for being witness in this beautiful story that you two have. Bob, the mic is yours. I see your mic.
Oh, I'm glad you spoke when you did because I couldn't speak at first. Linda, you're so beautiful and you're so loving, and it was unfathomable to me until the moment when I actually hugged you for the first time how important my being your father is to you. And there are still, I think we were told, Linda, that only 1 out of 10 fathers who fathered Vietnamese children admit to it. They don't want to upset their current life, livelihood, whatever. I can only say to everybody who's listening that there's no comparison. There is nothing like it. Nothing like it. To see her for the first time, she was about 30 feet away. And I think it was Gracie, my Lee's daughter, and Lee, who were trying their best to film, to get a video of this, because it was Linda had just come around the corner where she could see me. And at that moment, she dropped her pocketbook, or maybe she put it down, and ran to me. And it meant so much to me. We don't have the movie here, and it's not necessary here. Linda said it would be on Facebook, which is very good. That's great. But I want everybody to just try and imagine what that must have felt like to Linda after having wondered for 50 years who is her father. And now she found him. And that proves to her that there is a God. And if that's what it takes, then fathers on this earth have a big, and we do, huge responsibility to be as loving as possible all the time. I was going to say as often as possible, but we just need to be loving. If we go to any use or misuse of this thing called fear, it never helps anybody, ever. Love is the only way. That's what this day is about for me. On both ways, it's the only way. So thank you, Linda, for your beautiful, beautiful words. I'm glad this is being recorded and it will be on Facebook. And I would love to hear what you said again. You have said it to me before, but never as beautifully as you just did today. So thank you for that. And so we don't hog this room too much. I'd like to invite others to tell us about experiences they've had with their fathers. Thank you.
I'm gonna add a little piece of information here. Thank you. I'm just want to say that Father's Day, when I said it, like God, like it's not because God is male, you know. I want to make this kind of like insert in this information because yeah, my dad was the first male that gave me this experience of separation, and through that, I could recognize the father of all there is. But I did have in my life so many female figures that played the role of a father. That that is why I tell to Linda that the Father abides in us as He is in everyone and everything. So for me, the Father Day has a different meaning now. It's because now I can recognize that the source of all there is doesn't have a gender. In fact, it's just the notion that you have a source that goes that is not from your body, that it's energy, that it's all constant and eternal. So it doesn't have to have a gender. It is about love and feeling supported, and all the constructs of the mind around the father figure. For example, in my case, I didn't have a father, or what you may call a good father, but I know he loved me in his own way. And that open or just trigger a different kind of experiences with the father's love through my aunts, through my mom. I used to, in the past, as I was like in pain for not having a father or having this kind of um, conflictive ideas about the fathers, I always celebrate Father's Day to my aunt and my mom that were the fathers in my life. And now I can really understand that yeah, that the father of all there is not male or female. It's just all the constructs of the mind that give you support, that give you blessings, that give you peace, and makes you feel that you are not left behind by yourself to be responsible for everything in this world. So that is what I celebrate today, and that is what I really, really appreciate of every single father now that I understand their role in my life. So thank you, Linda, and everybody for listening to this, and well,
I just
have a
want,
beautiful.
yeah, I just want to say in regards to my relationship with my biological father, uh, I hated him, and I was sure he hated me, and I considered him my greatest nemesis. Whenever I changed my ego that I wrote for him, and I told him that he was my greatest teacher, and thanked him for putting up with such an SOB, and that he was the perfect father for me, and that everything he had done was exactly what I needed. And I thanked him for that. It was amazing how that relationship turned around. There was never anything wrong with him. It was just playing his role. And whenever I saw him as my greatest teacher, uh, and told him that, I think it came as a relief of a great burden that he probably had in regards to our relationship too. But it was amazing what forgiveness and realizing that we're all on our own individual perfect path can change that relationship, not just for you, but for the other people. Just want to throw that out. And uh, we had a wonderful relationship in the end, and it was all predicated on my decision to release my egoic belief that I was a victim and that there were outside forces beyond my control. Whenever I saw him as the perfect one, the perfect teacher, it transformed everything. If you can see that God didn't create any junk, there is no mistakes. We're all on our own perfect path, and that's to awakening. And if you can just change that from an attitude of hate and fear to an attitude of appreciation and gratitude for the roles that people have played in your life, uh, your world can become a beautiful place. Thank you.
Hello.
Hey, my friend.
Yes. Hello, Adriana. Um, yeah, I want to share something very, very quick. It's also a story that happened. No, I'm not going to get into the story, but yesterday evening I wrote a letter understanding the relationship that I had with my father and my son by going in the memory of myself when I was 15 years old and what I was living and experiencing at that time. So at that time, I was single, only child, and my parents, from one day to the other, decided to adopt a child. They didn't decide it. A baby arrived to our home unexpectedly, and I became, from one day to the other, a big sister. And it was beautiful for me. It was a present that was the only present that I was writing in my Christmas letter when I was a child. And it arrived in the most unexpected way. And at that time, I was very happy. And of course, everything what a new baby brings at a home. But as a child or as a teenager at that moment, I was not supposed to feel the jealousy or the envy or the normal emotions that a brother or a sister gets when a new member of the family is coming. And I said I was not allowed because my mom would always say like, oh, now you feel, of course you were feeling bad, but don't be selfish, or you have to be the big sister and show that, like, somehow I was not allowed to express those emotions. And it was okay. I mean, I went through it, and it didn't cause any damage in my life, I believed, until now. For when my son is 15 and he is in anger, and I was also in lots of anger with him, and then I went back into that time of my age and his age, and I saw it so clearly, that the emotions that I am getting right now are the same emotions that I was having in that moment, and also the emotions that he might be also feeling right now, as he lost his dad. Well, he didn't. His dad died. I am trying to build a new family with my partner and his daughter, and his daughter is 16 and he is 15, and I was not really understanding from where my fears were coming, and my need of controlling and having the family. But then I understood it. I'm not going to get into the whole situation, but today I wrote a letter to the fathers, the men in my life, which are my father, my brother, my son, and also the fathers of my child, just forgiving themselves because they didn't know what were we doing at that time? And I didn't know what I was doing at that time. And it was a very short letter, but it was a great revelation, because some weeks ago I really gave that to this Holy Spirit, and I said, like, handle this, please. Just give me the why am I feeling this, and the relationship with my son. I really gave it to the Holy Spirit to solve it. And yesterday evening, all this night, I was not sleeping, and I was just writing that letter in my head. It came perfectly clear, and I just sent it today to them. And yeah, just remembering that there is that we are all love, and yeah, that living this book by day, and finding new messages every day that you say, like, oh, this can be real. But and of course, if we read it next year at the same day or another page, we always will find little miracles like this one. And I also send that letter to my son, of course, and I will read it to him, and so that he has a better understanding of why I'm acting the way I'm acting. He will have it at some point, but that I'm doing the best I can, that I forgive myself every second, and that I forgive himself every second. And yeah, we are all
My God,
right.
I want to hug you right now. You are more than enough, my friend. You're doing such a great job. I know for sure. I love you.
Thank you. And it's also, yeah, I've been the father of my son.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a
That,
great
that is
father as
exactly what
well.
I was saying.
Yeah,
The
and
source doesn't have to have a gender. It's just the
exactly.
realization that you
And
can be the father. Oh my God, I love you.
so for some reason, very, very funny, for some reason, my partner left for the whole day to a concert, a hard rock concert. And it's something that brought up a lot of fear for me, because because of some stories. And today I was like in charge of the children. And I never felt like really being able to be in charge of two completely different children. Completely different, but of course the same images and the same mirrors of me and my partner. And well, for some reason they just decided to go out and have lunch, and I just prepared to myself a beautiful, amazing dish that I was not believing I was going to be able to make it, and I did it in 15 minutes, beautifully dressed, and I celebrate Father's Day to myself. So yeah, it's nice.
And I won one because you sent me the picture and I was, oh
Yeah,
my God, that looks delicious. So yeah, my friend, you deserve that and more. Happy Father's Day.
thank you.
Happy Father's Day, all of you, fathers. I I wanted to say that I've been performing miracles. They've been happening right in front of my eyes, and it's again to see the best in others and watch the miracle that happens unfold and just be so instant. It's an holy instant, it seems, and I wanted to explain how I'm doing that, because it's not just to try to see um, it's not just to try to see the person perfect, whole, and complete in my observation. It's to see the person in perfect joy and bliss. And if we know them, we haven't we know their essence of when they're in that state of mind. So it's different than just like to see somebody perfect, whole, and complete. We would see us all the same. We would see us all in our in spirit, which I mean, maybe not. Yeah, maybe we'd be able to see us individualized. Yeah, I suppose that's what we're working into. But it seems that there would be no. I don't know the personality thing. I don't know. Yeah, I suppose. But anyway, I guess I guess it is the personality thing. And when I look at the personality in its state of joy and peace and love, there's an essence there, a personal essence. Yeah, so that's what I'm seeing, and I'm seeing it just like light up, like to the point of like the next time I speak to the person, which seems to be within minutes or at least 24 hours at the most. I mean, um, it's showing itself, and they're calling with such surprise, like to share with me, and they don't even realize what I'm doing. They have no clue. Even if I say it, well, I hold that vision for you, because I say things like that. And I'm not going to try to take the whole responsibility, but I tell you, I have to take some. I have to take the whole responsibility for myself, at least, to actually be able to see them that way and to see the unfolding and what's happening, is almost it's been a great surprise to me. So I think that we do have a lot of influence on others, but only if we can see them in that the way that God would see them. And we can't, if we see them the way that well, actually I shouldn't say only. We're going to have the best influence on them, is what I should say, because we're having the influence on them in any way we're seeing them, I'm noticing. Yeah, so I'm retracting what I said a second ago and coming back to absolutely everything, every way that I have seen everyone has had an influence on myself and them because of the way that I behave with them or react with them or whatever. And then to change it to God's way, loving way, I mean, with love, that's the miracle. And I'm seeing the miracle right in front of me. So I really thought I had the opportunity to be able to express that, and I appreciate it. Thank you. I thought I would even mention that my father, who's passed away, we didn't have a very good rapport in the, here and now. And I actually seen that with him because I think that there were some cords that needed to be cut, um, some energetic cords that needed to be cut. And that happened weeks ago when we spoke on when the Course of Miracles brought to our attention about grievances. So I did that then, and I had some really weird situation happened, and I can't explain it except that my sister tried to help me explain. But I had where I was, and I don't think I mentioned it in this room. I'm going to boldly mention this because it's pretty bold, because it was such a different kind of experience for me. Um, so he passed away, and my sister and my brother came to visit. I don't think I mentioned it. If I did, one of you please tell me, because I don't want to like bore you with another
No,
story.
you haven't. Or for example, I don't remember you mentioned this. So go ahead, my friend.
Okay, so the three of my brother, my sister, and myself were written out of my father's will, and he left everything to one sister who won't talk to anybody. And that's because of whatever she. Well, I'm intuitively believing it's because she's been slowly getting us, trying to get us out of his life, and him to think really bad things of everybody. So anyway, it worked out. in her favor. And that's okay, whatever. I didn't care because he really wasn't a part of my life, but it really hurt the other siblings a lot more because I think they had an expectation, which I did not. I never had an expectation of my dad because he never was a dad to me. So that probably, saved me. But the grievance was that he was never a dad to me. From he didn't care about anything that was happening in my life important. And if I brought it to him in hopes that he would care, basically told me he didn't. Um, so basically, I tried to be in his life, and I did the best I could. And at the end, he said he hadn't seen me in 12 years, which I was going there to see him every year, for every time I had a vacation. So whatever that was, but I guess that was a way for him to be okay with what that he wrote us out of his will, which we're not even sure if he did because there was some other situations that happened that were, but not to get into the story because it's really over. It really is over with me, the grievance part. But what was so strange was that I was, after that, weeks ago, after releasing that and cutting those cords, and when I say cut the cords, it was to release the grievance. um, I'm laying in bed and I'm half asleep, in that middle part where you kind of are conscious and not, not completely. And it felt like my bed was like, first it's underneath my whole body, and then I felt like it was only on. It was like from the knee down there was no support. The bed wasn't there, and it woke me up to a complete conscious state. And I laid there thinking, that was such a weird feeling. Was that real? What was that? And it happened again. And I thought, okay, this is the most craziest thing I've ever experienced. So I slowly turned because I was afraid I would see a ghost. And I wasn't thinking him, but I was slowly turning. Actually, I was thinking my neighbor who had passed away about 10 months ago, something like that. And I was like, oh, I've never seen a ghost, but I hear that they're at the end of the bed sometimes. So I was really like, okay, what is this? And then, and I do have a dog, but he sleeps in a crate. I sleep with my door shut. It wasn't him. And I was like, gosh, did a animal get in the room? So I didn't see anything. So I slowly turned my body and looked over the edge of the bed, like, is there something hiding on the side of the bed? As crazy as this sounds. So I just had no idea what I could like associate this happening with. And what was really weird was that, okay, so I was trying to think of who, because I had brought this up to a few people, and they're like, and they do believe in like spirits maybe coming to visit or the energy of them or whatever. And I just brought it up because I was like, what do you think of that? Which I kind of knew their answer. And they were like, well, yeah, I think that well, you could ask who it was. And I was like, well, okay. And if I think about it, I can only think it might be maybe my mom or my neighbor. And I'm like, but I don't feel like that. I don't feel like that. I've never felt like, I never saw a ghost, and I never felt like I would or anything. Well, anyway, my sister and brother come to visit, and I told them about the situation just to see what they would say. And I said, oh, I'm not crazy. It's just the weirdest thing, and I'm constantly trying to find a practical like reason for it happening. And my sister said, Andy, do you remember how Dad used to wake us up? And
Oh my God.
I thought I'd hit the floor because, yeah, he used to put his foot in the end of the bed and push down on it really slow, and he would do that a couple times. And if we didn't respond, he would shake it with his foot. He would shake the end of the bed real fast, like, so that it was like, I didn't feel that. I just felt the foot, and I did respond to that, to the feeling of it, yeah. It was so weird. It was the way. I I still don't know how to explain it because I don't know if I can accept that, but I have no I have no other
You just
explanation
put in
for that.
resistance to it.
Isn't it so crazy? But anyway, I feel like he came to say, you know, you
I
know,
never left.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, no, I love you. There's no, yeah, like there's no grievance between me and, and thank you for not having a grievance with me. I feel like that. Yeah. So,
Well, what a forgiveness story that is. I mean, for me, it's really one of the cool things about this course that you can have stories like that and think of it like something like out of normal or paranormal or whatever, but those kind of experiences comes along with a deep understanding of oneness, with a deep understanding of the concept of we are all in this reality thinking that we are apart but we are not, and with forgiveness, I mean actual forgiveness, with the sense of release of a fearful image of somebody. So it's beautiful. Thank you. Today has been really great in gifts. Stories.
What was the question? Oh, the phone rang. That means that that her daughter is talking to her. I want to share something with everybody that when I was a kid, I went to a summer camp um, every year for, I guess about 5 or 6, 7 years maybe. And I was a camper, and I went through the years, and then I became a counselor. And there was a play. This was up in the Adirondack Mountains. No, the mountains of New York. And it was a play that was written by some previous counselors, and it was a completely made up story. And since we lived in Indian country up there in those mountains, the story was about an Indian maiden and um, let's just say, I can't remember exactly the nationality, but I think it was anyway. It was a white person versus an Indian. There was a white community and an Indian community, and they did not talk to each other. They hated each other. But the Indian fell in love with a young man from the group that came to that area. And at the very end, um, there's a song that they sing that is kind of the hallmark of the whole theme of the camp. And I will do you all a favor by not trying to sing it this morning, but I will tell you the words. And I think you'll enjoy this because it means so much. I know it means so much to me. And it goes like this. We all are God's little children, all alike before his eyes. The love we have within our heart is the key to paradise. So open your heart and give yourself a chance and see what a little love can do. For when we find one another, then each unto each is a brother. For we are God's little children, made in the likeness of him. Let us pray that all is one, that we shall have one, W-O-N, that we shall have won our neighbor's love forevermore. That's the song that ends the play, and it's the song that brings the Indian families and the settlers' families together because of the love that one of the sons had for the Indian maiden. It's a beautiful story, and if I visit the camp from time to time, I try to come at the time they do that play, because that song at the end, which is, by the way, written to the music of Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. And that's the second reason I won't try and sing it, but it's a beautiful song. Maybe one of these days I'll find version of it I can play. But I just wanted to share that with you because we all are God's little children. And how else can we put it? It's the nicest way I can think of the fact that He is the Father to all of us.
You know what? You reminded me of something that I wanted to say. Well, I didn't want to say it. I do now, though. You reminded me of something because I was thinking about human love. And when we speak of that, we think like a lot about our own children. It's easiest to say. It's easiest to think about love, or another person too if we don't have children. So, but what I want to say about that is the reason I say children is because we want the best. We always see we want the best for children, but our human love is like it tries to like protect our children, so it puts fear in them. And because what we're thinking we're doing is we're making them cautious and tipping them off on the predators or what's that word that I'm trying to find, the threats of the world. So we think we're showing them love by doing that, and so then we're seeing visions of fear for them. I think I'm bringing this into vision. No, I know I am bringing this to the visions part again, because it's very difficult to do when we're a parent and a human, and human our human love thinks it has to protect, right? So we're seeing like where we might think we're gonna see a vision where, oh my gosh, they're gonna do something that's gonna be very harmful right now, and then you want to prepare them so that they're cautious and aware, and we think that's what love is, and that's how confused we are, because when it comes right down to it, it's the absolute opposite. It's the part that sees them completely safe and completely um, um, safe, completely safe and in complete happiness and joy, and never any other way, really. And so it is a little bit of a different, kind of dynamic that we're used to.
That's
So,
exactly what the Course teaches, though.
well, yeah, of course.
We want to engender love, however, we engender fear. As soon as we realize we're engendering fear, though, we can stop teaching them that there's something to be scared of. It's our own illusion.
Exactly. And then
Wonderful.
when we actually have the audacity to try it and see that it is the miracle, and that the miracles do happen just because we've let go of the threat and teaching them that, or even for ourselves, like, because it's something that happens habitually because of our ability to function from patterns and not have to learn to do things over again. So,
That's
it's
how the
that.
fathers learn from their children. The fathers learn from their children when they're playing in spite of the fear, and when they're having a great time. Those little babies cry sometimes. Excuse me. Those little babies laugh most of the time and don't cry most of the time because they already see the truth. So I can learn from them, and I'm grateful for that as a father.
I know it, isn't it amazing? So yeah. So I have the audacity now to have the vision, the right vision, and just watch that miracle. So yeah, I think that
Wonderful.
yeah, we try it with the ones that you think that you're protecting, and you'll see.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Wonderful.
Trying to get to where I could turn off my speaker. Oh, there it is. So enjoy and create all day. I'm gonna get going. I love y'all. Happy
Thank
Father's
you
Day
so
again.
much. All right, Papa, what do you say? Is it time to wrap it up?
Oh, I think it's time to wrap it up. I gotta go talk to Mama a little bit.
All right.
She also um, likes to celebrate Father's Day with me as I celebrate Mother's Day with her.
Did you get
And
your
in
card from
about,
me?
huh?
Did you get your card from me?
Not yet, but I got your love.
I have a cool little present that I'm going to be driving down when I come down in a couple of weeks. But you should have gotten your card by now. I mailed it on like Tuesday. I was really hoping you'd have it, but I guess it'll come tomorrow.
I'm sure it will. And it's the way the mail is just, it is what it is. I'm not going to make any comments about that. But I
Yeah,
feel
it's
your
all
love.
good.
I
You
feel
got
your love.
it.
It's all
Everybody
good.
here signed it.
Oh my
Adriana picked it
goodness.
out. She found the perfect card for me, the best father's card for me to give to
Wow.
you. And it's I can't wait for you to see it. All right, I'm going to start wrapping this up. I hope everybody got out what they wanted to get out. If anybody has anything they want to share, come on up. You can have the stage and share it. Otherwise, have a wonderful day. We'll be here tomorrow to read 171. Have a wonderful day, everybody.
And thank you, Linda, especially for coming and being with us today. And have a wonderful day. Talk
Yes,
to you
indeed.
later.
Yes, we will. Yes, we
Yes,
will.
indeed.
I'm very. I think this is the first time that I stay in here most of the time. I mean, I get in late, but I stay the whole time. I was put my alarm clock last night and make sure that I get up this morning so I can be in here. Yes, my pleasure. I love it. I enjoy it so much.
Thank you, Linda. Linda, for those of you who don't know, lives in Houston, Texas. So it's earlier for her. We've had some people who they got up at 2 o'clock in the middle of the night, but that lasted maybe once or twice. And then they figured that's just too much to ask. And it's always going to be on Facebook the next day or the same day. And that's also a pretty terrific way to
Yeah,
remember some
it's
things that
there
someone said.
instantaneously. Instantaneously. And those people all over in California, it's 3:37 for them. So they don't have to get up at 2, man.
That's right. Only 3:30. So.
Only 3:30. All right. So have a
All
great day,
right.
everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Bye
Thank you.
bye.
Bye, everybody. Bye, Linda.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. I call you later, Dad. Bye, Lee.